The fourth leg of the Donaldson Cross Country Championship went international as the Toyota Kalahari Botswana 1000 Desert Race took place in Kumakwane, just outside Gaborone. The event is the only marathon race on the calendar and takes place over 3 days, and as expected, plenty of action, excitement, drama and heroics were dished out for over 1,000 kilometers. It is the biggest event of the year in the country, and it's not hard to see why.
Botswana people just love motorsport. They just do. They always have. They've been a great follower of this race since inception. And the support, there's been radio call-ins, there's been TV interviews, and honestly, I've yet to hear a negative voice. And believe me, the spectators come from all over Botswana, as far out as Maung and Shakawe, just for this race. This is the biggest event we hold in this country of any type. And we hope that the participants, the riders, yourselves, everybody, it's not just the race, but give yourselves time to explore the country. Famous Okavango Delta, the Chobe, and other beautiful places later on when you are nicely, fully rested from the race.
Thousands of fans and a crocodile or two. It doesn't get better.
It's regarded as the toughest race on the planet, the Dakar Rally. In 2013, South Africa's Cyril van Biljon took on the treacherous South American terrain for the first time. And not only did he reach the finish, but he also won 3 stages on a quad. Now he makes his Donaldson cross-country debut for Atlas Copco.
Ek sien baie uit hierna, weet ek meen dit is 'n ou desert race, ons het dit baie gereis met 'n quad en alles. Ons hoop die windjie kom 'n bietjie op vir weet om die stof weg te vat, maar ek sien baie uit hierna. Ek dink dit behoort nog 'n goeie ding af te gee.
What was the motivation to get you back into the car?
Well, the motivation is I've got fuel in my blood. Last year I took on a new challenge in the corporate environment that I'm in. I didn't have a chance for this. Things have settled down a bit now, and I've got withdrawal symptoms. So it was time.
Making their debut as a team, Freddie and Sine Kriel in their Unifreight Ford Ranger. Pretty excited.
Baie sien baie uit daarna om te ry, bietjie self te bestuur. Ek het almal genavigate, my bestuur is bietjie anderster.
Ons het nogal baie training by die huis gedoen, 'n navigational training saam met my pa Kobus en so ek dink ek is redelik voorberei. Nou moet ek net reisondervinding kry.
The pair certainly had their work cut out for them as they were up against some stiff competition in the production vehicle category.
Also competing, Henny de Klerk from LA Sport. Tell us about joining the RFS stable.
Yeah, I mean, my original Hilux I bought from them, you know, a great team, great guys, you know, got a great setup, you know, and I was fortunate when Hannes retired last year that his car came on the market, you know, and I chatted to them, you know, bought the car, but at the same time, you know, they're looking after the car as well, and you know, I've got a real professional team looking after it, you know, dedicated mechanics, dedicated team, so it's just now I've gone from, you know, from a good team to an excellent team, from a service point of view, from a dedication point of view, and from a professional point of view.
All eyes were on Team Castrol, Soita, Anthony Taylor and Dennis Murphy, who dominated day 2 and started day 3 with a 45-second lead over Ihudu Brain and Henry Ihu.
The pair, however, closed the gap on the leaders in their Toyota Hilux.
Well, they couldn't quite capture another win, but they did find a place on the podium. Chris Visser and Jampie Bardnos from Ford Racing finishing 3rd.
Just out of the medals, last year's winners, Duncan Foss and Rob Howie from Castrol Toyota.
They may have struggled to find the flag this season, but not so in Gaborone. 5th for Christian Duploy and Henny Testecha from RFS.
Thomas Rundle and John Moore from Regent Racing 6th in production, but 1st in the Dakar Challenge.
The Atlas Copco pair of Johan van Staden and Mike Lawrenson, who said the race is unbelievable, but also unbelievably rough.
The BMW X3 of Henny de Klerk and Johan Smallberger coming home in 9th place.
Rounding off the top 10, Terence Marsh and Gerard Skitter from Regent Racing.
Finishing just over a minute behind them, another Regent Racing pair, Jürgen Schroeder and Mike Abramson in their Nissan Navara.
A credible 12th for siblings Jacques and Lizelle van Tonder in the Unifreight Ranger tackling this race for the first time.
While time barred on day 2, Rowan Lamb and Lyle Parker from Force Fuel did start day 3 afresh and were first of the non-finishers, claiming half points.
Also capitalising on the half-point system that accompanies this marathon race, Malcolm Koch and Johan Berger A DNF on day 2, but some handy points on day 3.
Well, we saw them earlier. Unfortunately, Saul van Biljon and Philip Hasselman from Atlas Copco unable to finish, but they had a great race, even starting day 3 in 4th place.
RFS 400 winners Lance Woolridge and Ward Huxtable from Ford Racing were unable to finish, Lance suffering badly over the 2 days.
Celeb navigator Rob Simpson and Archie Rutherford recorded a DNF in their Imperial Automotive Nissan Navara.
Loda Brain and Rian Freyling from Rubicon Racing said they loved the route, but it was eventually too tough for them.
Michael Whitehouse and Matthew Carlson from Regent Racing had problems throughout, even dealing with no comms, and they too failed to reach the flag.
Graham and Trevor Leith starting the final day 29th overall in their Transcore Ford Ranger, but also ended with a DNF.
It certainly wasn't the case for the men up front. Anthony Taylor and Dennis Murphy in their Castrol Toyota Hilux, a superb race throughout the weekend, seeing them claim back-to-back victories in the Donaldson Cross Country Championship and putting them tied at the top of the championship, alongside Visser and Badenhorst from Ford Racing, who came 3rd in Botswana, behind De Bruyn and Higo. Defending champs Force and Howie are 3rd in the championships.
We mentioned him earlier, now let's meet our celeb, Rob Simpson, the CEO of Donaldson Filtration Solutions.
Was it a tough decision accepting the challenge to be a part of this?
I think it was just a great opportunity, not necessarily a tough decision, but once it came up, I said, yeah, let me participate and let's see where this takes us.
It's very rare when the sponsors of a sporting event actually get to take part, and you don't hear about it every day. So it certainly is a unique thing to see.
So how awesome is that? I mean, just a great opportunity to participate in the sport that you sponsor and get a real upfront feeling of what it's all about and really get insight into what's behind the scenes in the sport.
It certainly is impressive, a sponsor not only putting his money where his mouth is, but his body too. A brave, brave man, especially considering that this event is a day longer than any other race. It's certainly not for the faint-hearted.
The Imperial Automotive pair managed an impressive 12th place amongst the production vehicles in qualifying.
Was it tough? I mean, from a navigator's point of view, obviously you enjoyed the ride, but was it hard work?
It was hard work, man, and there's a lot happening there. Things are coming a lot faster than you think. You lose your place a little bit, and you've got to kind of like figure out what's happening again. So in those pieces, Archie just kind of like makes it happen, you know. So, but yeah, it was a good clean run, and we came back with no problems.
We've had the likes of top sporting personalities take up the challenge. Next up is Derek Alberts.
Thanks, Leanne. But first, let's see what happened in the D&E classes. So I caught up with the towering father and son pair of Jack and Saul Oosthuizen.
Tell us about what happened at Eston.
Well, we had we lost the car a little bit, and it went badly wrong from there. My wind was a bit out, that's what you can hear, just a bit of moaning, but everything was good. Luckily, we still finished, yeah.
Let's just recap exactly what took place last month. If you're squeamish, look away now.
Well, the car's looking great.
Thank you. A lot of work, probably about 200 hours in the last 2 weeks. So it's been a flippin' long haul to get here. Yeah.
The Oosthuizen's up against the young Northwest crew Jason Fenton and Vincent van Alleman in their Trisom Toyota Hilux in Class D. They captured their 3rd win of the season.
In Class E, look no further than reigning champions Dirk Pitter and Chris Claessens in their Ford Ranger, the lone finishers in Class E.
Back to the Oosthuizen's in their big green Land Rover Defender. It needs to be big as those men are giants, but unfortunately this time round they were unable to reach the end.
Mpumalanga brothers Johan and Werner Horn in their Mullerlaan Toyota Land Cruiser also among the crews to fall by the wayside.
As did the Brighton Removals pair of Douglas Fear and Kurt de Villiers in their Toyota Hilux.
One of the nicest guys you're likely to meet, Luke Buerter alongside Kevin Durston from Force Fuel.
Today was worse, by far worse. It was long in the car. It was quite difficult. It was more, you had to concentrate more, but it was lekker. And we brought the car. I'm so very proud.
The Oosthuizen's Jack and Sorrel leading Class D with 33 points, 3 clear of Venter and Van Alleman from Trisom Toyota, while Pitter and Claessens in the Ford Ranger top the Class E leaderboard. The Toyota 1000 Desert Race is one of only 5 races around the world that forms part of the Dakar Challenge, where the winner is given a free entry to South America.
One of those up for the challenge is Thomas Rundle from Regent Racing.
Tell us about the Dakar Challenge.
Yeah, look, I think it's anybody's lifelong dream if you're in the sport to participate in the Dakar, and this is just a fantastic platform for us to get there. And you know, I've taken the opportunity, and hopefully it's going to work out for us.
Rundle and co-driver Moore had an impressive first 2 days of racing and started day 3 second, 31 seconds behind Colin Matthews and Alan Smith from Century Racing, the leaders in the Dakar Challenge.
They had a fantastic day too, saying it was the first time they'd ever done 240 Ks without getting out of the car. But things were a lot different on day 3 as they lost most of their gears and had to do the last 240 Ks in third gear.
An incredible performance from Du Toit and Solomon in the White Star Racing Bat.
Also competing, John Thompson and Maurice Zamatin in their Zarko Magnum.
Matthews and Smith broke an input shaft close to the end and were forced to retire.
Region Racing's Michael Whitehouse and Matthew Carlson were forced to retire too in their power steering pipe burst.
Graham Peterson, driving on his lonesome in a Dragonfly, failed to reach the flag on day 3.
They were fastest in the prologue, Leroy Poulter and Alvin Kutsia from Castrol Toyota, but they failed to finish on both days 2 and 3.
Dust was the order of all 3 days of racing, and the terrain proved to be too much for Nick and Ryan Harper from Motorride.
Speaking of Motorride, last year's Dakar Challenge winner Evan Hutchison and Donnie Stassen couldn't make it past day 2.
It was also a tough trip for Gary Berthold and Siegfried Rousseau in their brand new baby blue Atlas Copco Nissan Navara. They suffered front suspension failure.
Ian McLean and Lucas van Dort also struggled in their Zarko Junior.
Despite all their problems, Regent Racing's Rundle and Moore managed to reach the finish first amongst the Dakar challengers, a phenomenal performance from the pair.
Started today, you said that this was probably the biggest day of your racing career, and it lived up to reputation.
Absolutely, you know, it's exactly what I said this morning, and it's what a fantastic day for me and the team. You know, we've really worked hard for this, and that was our main aim for today, was to win this Dakar Challenge, and we've done it. And you know, we're looking forward to representing South Africa, and we're going to do it proudly.
We've said it before, but it's worth repeating. This race experiences phenomenal support from the locals. Now let's hear from the man very much involved in the Dakar Rally, Xavier Gavroy.
What did you make of the desert races here?
Really impressed. It's the second time I come here, but I spent more time, so I had more time to see the route and so on. And I was really impressed to see how tough it is, and that means as well that we have made a good selection with this race in Botswana for the Dakar Challenge, because we select the races because they are well organized, because they are tough, and because the level of competition is high. And this is the proof this weekend with the bike and the cars, so everything went well.
Forget about the hype, the hustle, the tweets and the trash talk. Forget what the pundits say or what the media predicts. Forget about broken bones, torn tendons and scarred skin. Forget about the could'ves, the should'ves and the would'ves. Because on the night, eye to eye and toe to toe, it's about me and him.
Punch behind the head.
On that night, it's not about walking into the ring. It's about being the only one to walk out. Catch all the lefts and rights of local and international boxing right here on Supersport, your world of champions.
Chupicho Makeng, the second annual Gauteng Football Cup is back. Catch Siwelele and Amadak battle it out to meet Amakosi in the finals. The Gauteng Football Cup, Bloem Celtic versus University of Pretoria, and the winner takes on Chiefs at half 2. See all the action live on your World of Champions.
The 2013 SBK season in high definition, live and exclusive to Supersport.
Welcome back to the Donaldson Cross Country Championship. Now, while motor racing is still considered to be a male-dominated sport, more and more ladies are changing opinions, doing their gender proud in the Donaldson Cross Country Championship. Even the commentators, like Leanne.
Thanks, Derek. Alvin Kitsia comes from good motoring stock, and it's no surprise to see her involved.
What's the relationship like between you and Leroy? It's got to be a strong bond between you and your driver.
Yeah, they call it's like a marriage. It's a marriage in a car. You have to trust, you know, with no doubt. If I say something, he does it. If it's right, it's right. It's left, it's left. So no doubt, and you just need to listen and really trust one another.
And how long have you two been competing together for?
This is our third year together. We started 3 years ago in the rally car. This is our first off-road event together. So yeah.
Perfect. Best of luck.
Oh, thank you very much.
And here's Zelda Niemand.
How have you been enjoying things?
Oh, it's so awesome. I love being in a Class A car. It's such an awesome experience. And I love having a driver who listens to me. It's not something you find very often in off-road racing. Most drivers don't listen.
Yeah, is it? I've spoken to some of the ladies and they say a similar thing.
Yeah, it's not just the ladies. I mean, I think in general it's a thing. A driver follows his own head, you know. But it's a privilege to have someone who actually listens. When you tell him to turn, he turns. When you tell him to be cautious, he's cautious. It's nice.
Yolinda Fourie.
It's a sport that's certainly growing with the female population. You hoping to continue that course?
Ja, nee, definitief. Het is lekker om iets saam met jou man te deel wat iets anders is. Het is niet gewoon werk. Het is heel drill and rush.
And even two sisters.
It is traditionally a male-dominated sport, but obviously you're looking to change that.
Well, recently, you know, a lot of women have entered. Even Roxy Lowe participated a few, well, earlier in the year, and she's a sportswoman herself. So obviously, you know, the barriers have been broken down a bit. The sport's grown quite a lot, and I think it's good for the sport that women are entering it. And I don't think we stand down from the men either, because, you know, we're in the cars. So it's nothing really to do with the physical body self, but with you know, it's your head has to be in the game, and that's what it's all about.
Natuurlijk wil ons vrouens ook weet wat er mense met die kar aangaan. As ons 'n pap wil hê, wil ons kan help ry. Ons wil nie net in die kar sit nie. So ons probeer die mechanicals leer en alles.
Let's see how the ladies did. As we mentioned, Elvine and her driver Leroy Polt had a phenomenal qualifying race in their Castrol Toyota Hilux.
Lizelle and Jacques Van Tonder put on a brilliant performance in their debut in the desert, of course thanks largely to Lizelle's directions.
And they say men don't take directions well. While Yolinda and Marius Fourie were unable to finish day 2, they did collect half points on day 3.
Castrol Toyota's Kutsia and Poulter had another go on day 3 after electrics forced them out of day 2.
It was a very tough race for Zelda Niemand and Magri Mobile, who ended up camping in the desert when their porter broke down.
Sune and Freddie Krill completed the prologue in just over an hour, but they couldn't make it to the end of day 2.
If you're curious to see what happened to them, let's take a look. Again, it's action certainly not for the faint-hearted. But one person who didn't end up on their roof was Lizelle Van Tonder.
The course was nice. It was different from the other races since it allows you to actually go a bit forward, but lots of turns, so you can't really see what's coming up next. So you kind of have to, that's where the navigator comes very important, because the racer never knows, you know, if there's something in the road next or if it's a sharp turn or whatever. So this is really, this race especially is a teamwork.
From the ladies to Class A special vehicles, there's no doubting who the most popular competitor is in Botswana. Local hero Mogre Mobile.
Nerves and pressure aside, how's the confidence levels? I mean, how are you feeling as a driver, and how's the car doing?
The car's perfect, still getting used to it. Confidence level very high. Very high.
That's fantastic, yeah. And what do you make of the conditions here? I mean, a marathon event, obviously for you, it's your own back garden, so some would say maybe it would come easier to you.
No, it's not. It's not. But, you know, once you're in the car, all you want to see is just the finish line. So the 1,000 Ks will come after that when you start feeling the pains and all. But we are going to do it.
Almost 20 years ago, Nardus Alberts tore up the track in this event. He's back to do it again.
You're an old hand when it comes to this race.
Only the hand is old. Yeah, I think it's about my 25th desert, or what used to be called the desert in all the days. And the best I've ever done is I've won the Desert 500 one day. But I've never won two of them on the same weekend.
How does it help the experience out here in the desert?
I think for the experience for this specific race, in a sense that you can race the terrain. it's a terrain that you need to know how to. Like Hannes would say, you can dance on this. It's a magic area to race. Some areas you can go fast, some is hard, some is soft. And over the years you get to learn how to ride the berms and how to ride the hard stuff and look out for the crocodiles.
While Cully and Quinton Sulwald have shone so far this year, it was the other Sulwalds from Elegant Fuel that dominated in the desert.
Yes, Herman and Vickard Sulwald, they had an alternator problem on day 3 and said they were going at 80%. I'll tell you what, the competitors can be happy they weren't at 100.
Another local, Keith Dutoy and Keith Solomon in the White Star Racing bat, well behind the Elegant Fuel pair.
A third place finish for the Zeelies, Daniel and Lowe in the Maxus Liqui Molly Rockstar Porter, despite starting day 3 without fourth gear.
Philip de Vries and Johan Viljoen experienced a flat or two along the way, but said it was an unbelievable experience.
The husband and wife team of Marius and Yolinda Fourie didn't manage to finish day 2 in their PHB bat, but they did claim half points on day 3.
Clint Gibson and Gary Campbell from Dirt Sport Components broke a side shaft on day 2, but they were back on day 3.
One thing you can be certain of in Botswana, fans, dust and fast cars. Here we have Neil May and Joseph Lewis in the Maxus Liqui Molly Rockstar Zarko.
The other Sulwalds, Quinton and Cully from Elegant Fuel, a race to forget for them, retiring on day 3 with a broken alternator.
Cully also said there was just too much dust, as this image will attest to.
Herman and Vickard keeping the Sulwald flag flying high, finishing first in their Elegant Fuel Striker, while local businessmen Keith Dutoy and Keith Solomon came in second.
Lovely result for Botswana.
Yeah, I think it's way overdue. We're quite fortunate to be on the podium because this morning when I woke up I didn't think we were going to actually take part in the race because we couldn't get the car finished.
So Herman and Vickard Sulwald climbing to the top of the Class A standings on 62.5 points, 6.5 ahead of the Dirt Sport Component team of Gibson and Campbell, while Evan Hutchison and Donnie Stassen from Motorrad Racing are third.
In Class P and B, the men to catch were undoubtedly Matthews and Smith, but it's worth watching the Superpaid AceCo team, Rob Walk and Jeremy Wood.
You guys have a very unique team in that there's basically 3 of you.
Yeah, that's right. We're here to have fun and we really enjoy it and each share the driving, so I think it's a great time. We have great and we get on well, so it's good.
How long has this operation been going on between the 2 of you alternating?
We started last year, middle of last year. Sun City was my first ride with Rob, and I was navigating for him then. And I navigated for a couple more races with him after that. And we were actually borrowing the car from Richard Schilling. And then Richard said we had to buy the car, so we ended up buying it together, and that's how we worked it.
Also in action, James Watson.
James, excited? Desert for the 3 days?
I don't know. I was a bit nervous, I think. I've done this race twice before in bigger cars navigating. Here's my machine here on my own today.
I suppose it takes a lot out of you just being on your own, and single seaters aren't the easiest.
I think more mentally than physically. Trying to navigate, trying to look at the road, trying to drive the car, doing everything which normally a 2-man crew would do.
Matthews and Smith with daylight between them and the other Class B challengers when they started day 3.
They started the day in second in the Ps, John Thompson and Maurice Sir Matten in their Zarko Magnum.
We just heard from him, James Watson, Sun's co-driver in a Mighty Mag.
The Century Racing team of Matthews and Smith were going extremely strong, but it was not to be as they fell out less than 250 kilometers from the end because of a broken input shaft. Another driver by himself, Graham Peterson from KZN, and a stalwart in the regional championship, putting the Dragonfly through its paces.
Occasional entrants in the Century Racing CR2, Guy Henley and Martin Hermida, the pair unable to reach the flag on day 2. Here we have the alternating driver combination of Jeremy Wood and Rob Walk. They keep the same navigator in Ashley Thorne,
and this spectator creating a unique vantage point.
Coetzee and Sandra Labuschagne in their Zarko Light were forced to retire, with Coetzee suffering a severe bout of flu.
Also unable to reach the flag, Ian McLean and Lucas van Dort in their Zarko Junior, the desert proving to be too tough for them.
The phenomenal performances from John Thompson and Maurice Matten finishing 12th overall, but first in Class P in their Zarko Magnum.
We had a few mishaps yesterday, but today was good. We had no trouble today. Maurice navigated very well. It was a tough desert, but I enjoyed it, and you know, we're proud.
So the pair putting daylight between them and the rest in the championship, 33.5 points clear of Matthews and Smith from Century Racing, while the Labuschagnes are third overall.
Once again, an incredibly successful Toyota Kalahari Botswana desert race in Gaborone.
What kind of preparation goes into an event like this? I mean, apart from the logistics from the motoring community, I mean, just from Botswana community itself.
Well, you know what? Like with any central nervous system, when your heart starts pumping, your senses all get ready. You know, in terms of our media, we get ourselves ready. Communities are scrambling to host this all over the country. And it's a real pity for Kumakwane, where we've been for the last few years. This is the last year it's actually hosted here because it's just gotten so big, they can't handle it anymore.
It wasn't too long ago when this very grandstand was packed with thousands of fans, as it should be, because the Toyota Botswana Kalahari 1000 Desert Race is without a doubt one of the best events on the Donaldson Cross Country calendar. We'll be back in 2014. Next up at Sun City, where I'll be in the hot seat. Coming up, more Donaldson Cross Country action from Sun City, the flagship event and the fifth leg on the calendar. Who will break the deadlock at the top of the championship? Will it be Taylor and Murphy or Visser and Badenhorst? Find out next month.
The Donaldson Cross Country Championship brought to you by Donaldson Filtration Systems, a market leader in filtration solutions.